So this is the story. Manchester United are open to selling Marcus Rashford this summer and are receptive to any offers they get for the England forward. He's had another difficult season but remains in a massive contract, around 300 grand a week until 2028. So who could come in for him, if anyone? Flex, where do you want to start with this?
I mean, I'm almost fed up of talking about it, really, because as a United fan, you're drawn. There are some United fans who are able to just say, not good enough, don't care, clear off, been waiting too long, and he's not as good as everyone says he's going to be, so see you later. Got no problem. But I think the vast majority of United fans will still feel quite hurt by this and a bit sorry for him. It's like, how has this happened? How now when Marcus Rashford's been at United at senior level for close to a decade and been at United all his life,
one of your own.
One of our own, how has this happened? And I look at him and I look at the three things that surround him, which is Marcus Rashford, the player, Marcus Rashford, the man, and Marcus Rashford, the brand. And I just think they're so not aligned, you know?
So what's of those three things, what's the real Marcus Rashford? Because, you know, he's marketed by Rock Nation, you know, the big celebs, the LeBron Jameses of the world, etc. You know, but is that Rashford? Rashford always... What's so endearing about Rashford to me, someone who isn't a United fan, is just his humility. You know, what he did in the pandemic, I know he got so much stick for that, but having been a teacher, what he did was absolutely
100%
mega.
And you should never get slack for that.
No.
You know, he used his resources.
Has that sort of come back to almost haunt him in a way?
To be honest, I think the thing that is getting to people now to not confuse his criticism with abuse is like, it's coming from him and his body language and how he looks visually. He looks shot, like mentally, you know, physically, emotionally. He looks really drained. He looks like someone with the world on his shoulders, which, don't get me wrong, you're playing at the highest level on you know, around about 300 grand a week. Like, there's pressure that comes with it, playing for Man United. Sure. But it looks like a different... It looks like... I'm looking at him and I'm like, I think you're stuck. You can't get yourself out of this. So there's two sides to look at. From a club point of view, I think it's done. From a club point of view, I think he needs a new environment. I think that Man United need to move on from him.
Right.
I can't see this turning around. I've waited as a United fan. I've said, one more season, come on. New manager now, a couple of new players. Oh, Ronaldo's here, Sancho, he should link up well with them, or he can play off Cavani, or
what is it? Flex,
you know,
what
it's
is
just
it?
too much. It's got to come down to him, Max.
But what you say, he looks down. You know, you say, and I can see it. You know, and I'm someone, you know, as an England fan or just, you know, as a football fan, he seems like one of the good guys, Rashford, and so I want him to do well. I'm rooting for him. But even me watching, I can see that frustration, or why fans would be frustrated.
Yeah.
What do you think it is? Why is it that seems to be struggling?
It's really hard. As a regular fan who's not in his life, and I don't know Marcus personally or hang around with him or anything like that, it feels like there's just things going on in his life that I think he's struggling with. And I could be way off the mark here, but it's the only assumption I can make from visually what I'm seeing.
Florian Plettenberg from Sky Germany just today said that, you know, he's talking about internally United are thinking about trying to sell all of their players. As well as that, though, and I think this has gone more unnoticed with regards to Marcus Rashford, in the Telegraph, there were reports today that, you know, people inside United are concerned about the company he's keeping and concerned about lifestyle choices. Now, we've seen the stuff that happened in Ireland last season, and I was quite forgiving of that, because I think football's become quite sanitised, and of course it wasn't the right decision he made. No, but, you know, you look back in the 80s, that's what they were doing all the time. Yeah. And so we've got to have a little bit of grace for these players, despite the wages they're on. But there are concerns around his company. Does that surprise you?
Well, when you have concerns about that you say well publicised then, and then there's things like out in Belfast late, trying to lie about training, trying to get away with it. You know, it doesn't fill you with confidence that all is well. No. And then you're seeing the body language, the expression, because one thing is being out of form and, you know, you can't quite hit the back of the net at the minute and it's not quite falling for you. And another thing is base level work rate, your facial expressions. Do you look like you want to be here? Are you putting it in? Can you get any consistency? And some of the pushback is, who has been good at Man United in the last 10 years? And I understand that. This is the reason why Manchester United are a poor team, is not just because of Marcus Rashford.
Of course not.
I don't like this scapegoating, putting it all on one guy. He tried to do it with Pogba, tried to do it with Martial, Shaw, Maguire, this, that, and everyone goes through the period of it's your fault. It's not just one person or one player's fault. But with Marcus, I don't understand how, you know, there's all this ability supposedly there, and the basic level of expression and the basic level of wanting to be there isn't there. And then I also think some of the decisions he's made of terms of interviews, and like I think that Players Tribune interview last year before the Manchester derby, I think was the wrong decision. I think it was tone deaf. I don't think it come across in the way it should have. And I just thought, who advised him to do that? I don't think that was a positive thing to do at that moment. I don't think it came across well. I don't think that was the best way of showing maybe how Marcus feel. I don't know. I just didn't think it was the right thing. So and then when that's not backed up with performances as well.
Well, you could say, 3 in the last 5, is it, under Amorim?
Yeah, it's something to maybe build upon. But then he hasn't started the last couple. That's a bit unusual when he's been rotating the team. It does
make you think, doesn't it?
Makes you think, why has that not happened then? If he's rotating the team quite a lot. Usually, if you don't start one, you will start the other. He's not started the last couple on the bounce. And then the substitute performances from the bench from Rashford, you don't really get that from him. He's not a player who, like Garnacho, if you bring him off the bench, you know he's going to add something. He's going to run around. He's going to be on it. Off the bench at the Emirates, it was bad, Max. It was bad.
Flex, I hate to put you on the spot. In fact, I don't. I want to put you on the spot.
Yeah, it's going to say you don't.
But if you had to make a decision, what do you think? Do you think Marcus it's time for him to go, or do you think he needs another chance?
I think he's run out of chances, mate. And I say that through gritted teeth. I say that as a United fan all my life, where for players like Marcus Rashford, I want them to make it right to the end. But I think it's time. I think it's time for a new challenge. I think it's time for it's best for both parties to go their separate ways.
Okay. Well, on that bombshell, we're going to finish there. Flex, mate, it's been absolutely class.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you so much.
Yes. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.